Hi everyone, welcome back to GenTwenty. So today I wanted to do a fun little reflection. I wrote this post called Bucket List, 30 Things to Do Before You Turn 30, back when I was 23, and I'm 29 now and I'll be 30 in a couple months. So I've really just been thinking about like the past decade and how I've grown and changed from a youthful 23 to 29. Now I'm a mom and my life is, you know, kind of what I imagined it to be, but the things that I wanted to do when I was 23 and like what I suggested to other people to do in their 20s might be a little different now. So I really just wanted to look back at this and just looking at it on my phone. If you see me looking down, that's why. And kind of reflect on what I wanted to do then and if I still recommend it now. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that I put was travel somewhere you don't know the language. And I definitely still think that's something you should do. At this time in my life when I was 23, I hadn't done that, but now at 29, I've traveled to several places like Japan and Spain and Iceland and Switzerland, and of course like you can still get by knowing English in these places, but I did find that there weren't a ton of people who really knew like fluent English. Like in Switzerland probably more so, but definitely not so much in Spain and Iceland and Japan. Like I didn't really have any struggles communicating, but it just was really eye-opening and perspective changing for me, and I think that that's like an experience everyone should have in their 20s. Okay, number 2, date someone who isn't your type. No, fail. I've been married to my husband since before I wrote this, so that was never gonna happen. Anyway, I do think that if you're not going to date someone who isn't your type, maybe try to expand your friendship horizons into people you don't normally find yourself drawn to, I guess. Like, for example, I feel like I've met a lot of people in my 20s just through like different activities that I don't necessarily have a ton of overlapping things with, except for like maybe one hobby. But like I feel like those people really help enrich my life, and I hope that I help enrich theirs by expanding like my horizons into like what they're interested in. So yes, I kind of still agree with that one, but I also think that you could not date them but be friends with them. Okay. The next thing I have is start your 401k, which yes, you should absolutely start your 401k, or I'm self-employed, so I have other types of retirement accounts, but the sooner that you start those, the absolute better. I can link some articles in the description box that I've written about why it's so important, but yes, that one, yes, do it. Number 4 is take a risk. Go bungee jumping or skydiving or swim with sharks. Yes, I do think that you should take a risk that really gets your adrenaline going. What that means for different people is obviously different things. Like, I felt like those were big risks then. And are they risky? Yeah, you know, like physically so. But I mean, there's other ways to take a risk, like leaving your job or starting your own business or moving across the country where you don't know anybody. But yeah, I do think that taking risks help us get out of our comfort zone, and I think that's incredibly important for the personal growth and development we go through in our 20s. So yes, I do think that you should take a risk. Number 5 is start investing. Yes, you should definitely start investing. I wrote a whole series on how to get started investing and what different terms mean and how to get over your fear of investing, so I'll link that all in the description box below. But yes, I definitely think that start investing is something that should be on your bucket list. Okay, number 6, form your political opinion. So when I wrote this in 2013, I wrote that we live in a politically turbulent time. Not much has changed. I definitely think that we should be politically aware of what is going on and how the decisions that we are making are impacting ourselves and others through the way that we're voting. And there are lots of ways to do that. I will leave more information in the description box below. But yes, that I do think that's something you should do. Number 7, stop holding grudges. Yes. I think that it doesn't allow us to move forward if we're holding on to too many things in our past, and that includes holding grudges against people. I feel like when we're younger, it's easier to be angry about things, but as I've gotten older, I've just sort of realized that it says more about me that I'm holding a grudge than it does against the other person who might have done me wrong or whatever. So really it's just like, it just takes energy from me and really does nothing to them. So yeah, I think learning to stop holding grudges is a really important step to take. Start a collection. Yeah, I do think collections are really fun. I actually collect Starbucks mugs, and I have like 170 of them, which is kind of extreme, but it's really fun to collect things, and people bring them to me and even mail them to me from places they go, and I just like love having that connection with people and the places that I've traveled to, and like memories attached to certain things. So maybe like you don't want to collect something as big as mugs, or you're not really into like things as much, but I think collecting something through your experiences is a really cool and fun thing to do. Let's take a cross-country road trip. So I've taken a couple of road trips, not fully cross-country, but I've driven from like Seattle to Los Angeles. I've driven around Texas. I've driven through Arizona, and it's not really a cross-country road trip. Probably the biggest one is definitely from Seattle to Los Angeles, but it was really fun, and I would totally do it again. My husband and I are planning to take my son on a road trip in the next few years. Like, he's still really little, so he's not gonna super enjoy it yet, but I do think that's really fun. And even if you don't live in the United States, like, go explore your own country, like, see where you live, and like get out and just do things. I think that's really fun and worthwhile. Number 10 is to pay off your credit card debt. Yes, you should do that. As we move into our 30s, I think we're starting to take on like bigger financial plans and goals. Like, I hope to buy a house in the next few years because I currently still rent an apartment, and if I was still paying off my credit card debt, that would be really hard. I've written about this a few times, but my husband and I paid off $25,000 of like credit card debt and student loan debt in 18 months, and I both feel like that's a quick amount of time and a long amount of time. Like 18 months, a year and a half is like quite significant, but it did take a lot of adjusting our budget and our lifestyle and figuring out what like how can we cut our fixed expenses. Like, we shared an apartment with roommates for a year, even as we were a married couple, and because we live in an expensive city, that did save us $900 on our rent. But at the same time, not everyone has that ability. Like, I get that, but that doesn't mean there aren't other ways that you can cut back and try to throw more money at your debt. And really the secret for me was doubling and tripling my payments, which I can link an article I've written below about how I did that. So I think it's just worthwhile to look at and make an extreme plan, like when you're in a less financially obligatory kind of phase of your life in your 20s. Like, you don't necessarily have as much that you're paying for, and you know, maybe could live with roommates or still live at home or whatever it may be, to like help reduce that financial burden in the future. Number 11 is go see live music that you love. And yeah, I do think that you should still do that. Don't go into debt to do it, but when the opportunity comes up for you to see artists that you would like to see and you can afford it, I think you should go. Okay, number 12 is to set an annual reading goal. I'm a huge reader, and I think everyone should set an annual reading goal. I think reading is a really important way to like expand our horizons and to learn more about other people and places and emotions and like just the depth of feelings and experiences, and it's a way you can do that without even leaving your own house. And I like to stay motivated by setting a reading goal every year. My reading goal this year is 52 books, and I would say that's fairly average for me. And what I really like about reading goals is that even if I don't read a book for a month, the next month I could read 10 books and I'm still like on track for my goal. So I really like that about reading goals, and I use Goodreads to keep track of the books that I'm reading. Number 13, overcome a fear. yes, I do think that you should work to overcome your fears in your 20s. So I really struggled with anxiety for a really long time, and I still do. It's like kind of situational, and like when big life changes are coming up. But when my husband and I first moved to where we live now, I did not want to leave by myself for like 3 years. Like, I would leave my apartment and go out with other people and stuff like that, but I would never go anywhere by myself for like 3 years. And that sounds kind of crazy to think about, but I mean, I was like working from home a lot, so I don't know. But I would just never go get a coffee by myself or like go meet a friend or something. Like, I never did that. I don't know. And eventually I was like, you can't live in your house your whole life. Like, you have to leave. So I just started slowly taking steps to get over that. Like, I would go meet a friend for a coffee, or I would go meet my husband for lunch, or I would go to an appointment by myself, which that took me a long time to be able to do, which sounds crazy for someone in their 20s, but at the same time, like, it just gave me a lot of anxiety. And do I know why? I don't know. Maybe I was afraid. I don't really know, but I'm kind of over that now, and I will go places by myself, and I feel a lot better being able to do that. So I do think it's worth identifying your fears and finding methods to overcome them in your 20s. Number 14 is get a tattoo. I don't know. I don't know if I like something enough to actually have it like permanently put on my body, and I know that sounds probably sounds relatable. But I don't know, I'm just like, I appreciate tattoos and like the artistry. I don't know if I'm like here for myself for that level of commitment. I don't know. I did say to get a piercing if you wanted to, and I have my triggers pierced, so that's something. But yeah, I mean, if that appeals to you, go for it. But if not, like, maybe that's your risk, getting a tattoo. But if not, like, I don't think that's something you really need to do in your 20s. Number 15 is join a club. Yeah, I do think that you should join a club. I'm not really part of any clubs that I can think of. I feel like if I was part of a club, I would remember. But no, I do think that joining a club is a great way to meet people. Number 16, treat yourself to something really expensive, and pay for it in cash after you've paid off your debt. So don't go into debt to do this. Do not go into debt to do this. Don't. Please don't do it. But yeah, so I bought myself a Gucci bag for my birthday one year. And then I also bought myself a Gucci backpack this past year. And so a way that I like save up for these items is I put $100 into a treat yourself fund every month. It's just an automatic transfer that's set up. It goes into a savings account, and then when I see something that I really like and want, or if I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to like look for something to treat myself, that's where I take that money from, and that money transfers automatically, and I don't even think about it. And when I bought my Gucci backpack this past year, there was almost like $3,200 in that account, and I spent like $1,400 on the backpack, and I bought it secondhand through the RealReal, so I saved like several $100s on it, and it's like really beautiful quality, and I actually like that I bought it secondhand. But anyway, so yeah, like I had saved that money, and I didn't even like know that I was saving it really. Like, it was just automatically saving for me. And then when I saw this backpack, and I was like, that's it, that's the backpack I want. Like, I didn't even really have to think about it. I was able to buy it and treat myself, and that felt really nice. Number 17 is be the first person to apologize. Yeah, I think that it kind of goes hand in hand with holding grudges. Like, learning to say I was wrong and I'm sorry is a really important thing. Okay, number 18, run a marathon. I've not run a marathon, but I've run a half marathon, and I think that that is good enough to check that one off the list. So I do think that like physical things are just a fun way to push yourself and like really learn what you're capable of. Like, I always feel better and more productive when I'm, you know, really sticking to my exercise routine. So that's just like a little productivity tip from me to you. Number 19 is a little deeper. It's forgive yourself for mistakes. I still do think this should be on your bucket list. But I also understand that there are a lot of things and situations that are very difficult for people to forgive themselves for and to overcome. But sometimes, like, to forgive yourself for mistakes you've made in the past, I think you really need to create distance, like both physically and emotionally, and one of those ways is just giving it time. Sometimes it's moving away from things and really like working through how you've struggled. So maybe that means you need to go to therapy, or maybe just journaling is good for you to help you work through your thoughts, or maybe you need to focus on a new project so you can learn to like let the past go. Learn how to cook. I do think that everyone should have a couple of staple meals that they can make. Having a couple staple recipes like on hand that you know how to make, because you never know if you're gonna have to host dinner or brunch or like anything like that, or Friendsgiving, and you're gonna need to bring something. Like, I just think that having a list of recipes that you know how to make really quickly and really easily is the way to go. Okay, 21 is eat really expensive food. I have eaten really expensive food, and I will say that I don't think it's always what it's cracked up to be. If you really like interesting flavor combinations and you know you're like a real culinary something, I don't know, you might like that. But I do think that maybe just treating yourself to like a nice meal at a restaurant that you really wanted to try is good enough. Number 22 is pay it forward. And I try to pay it forward as often as I can. Like, I try to donate as frequently as I can. And I try to help people whenever I can, like whether it's providing advice or just my thoughts on something, you know. So just getting into the habit of doing that is really fun. Number 23, attempt to break a world record. I don't know anyone who's done this. It's a fun idea, but that's up to you. 24, attend the Olympic Games. Maybe not the Olympic Games, but it would be cool to just go to like a sporting event that you're really passionate about to like finally make it there, you know. 25, pick a cause and be passionate about it. Instead of like having your hands in like 5 buckets, just focus on one thing that really matters to you and advocate for it. Number 26 is make your family tree. I do think you should do this. I've been working on it myself, and I just feel like that's something everyone should do in their 20s. Number 27, see a Broadway play. I've seen Wicked. I don't know, I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say you need to go to New York City to do it, so if there's something around you that you want to see, but you know, just dressing up and like going to something like you've gone to see the Nutcracker, I think that that is worth doing. Number 28, I put work a menial job. Maybe you don't need to work one, but put yourself in the position of someone who works for tips. Like, if you are working for tips, like, you know what that feels like. And if you're not and you never have, like, maybe you don't, but like when people are providing good service and like they're just trying to do their jobs, like, reward them for that. I don't know, I feel like that's just a nice thing to do. 29, become a connoisseur in something. I'm a connoisseur in nothing, so I have not achieved this. But I don't know, I think that it's fun to do stuff that's like wine tasting, or like charcuterie boards are like super popular right now. So I don't know, maybe you want to be a connoisseur in that. But I don't know, maybe just explore things more, like go to tea shops or coffee tastings, and you know, just make it a goal to like learn more about things. And number 30 is make a list of 40 things to do before you turn 40. Will I be doing that? Maybe. I'll probably make a list of goals that I want to achieve in my 20s, and after reflecting on this past decade, like, I think I still stand by most of what's on this list, like with a couple of little caveats that I might change. Anyway, overall I feel very happy with how my 20s have gone and where I'm at right now in my life, and I don't know, maybe I will make more of a bucket list style post for my 30s, but stay tuned to see what's coming next. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope you check out the blog post below and leave me a comment to let me know what you are so proud to have achieved in your 20s. I really want to know, or like what you would put on your bucket list. That's another. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you later. Bye!